Welcome back to Ocarina of Time 3D. Today we'll be travelling across the wide open Hyrule field to Hyrule Castletown.
I love the Hyrule field just because the game does such a good thing of making the forest seem small and secluded that once you hit the field, like the game just throws in your face that, yo man, this game is huge and you're gonna have fun.
I like this little tunnel just before the field itself because it is a nice little bit of build up.
Unfortunately, it ends with Kaporia Gaboria.
What is it with owls in fiction wanting to tell you everything ever?
I don't know, they're wise beyond their years. It goes back to Athena and crap like that. The thing about him that pisses me off is that he gives you a long paragraph of text and then he ends it with, would you like me to repeat that again? And to repeat it is the default option.
Yeah.
So you can't even just mash through like, yes, Mr. Owl, I don't care about how many licks it takes. Nope. Oh, you're going to tell me again? Crap.
And the funny thing about that is the next time it's in the proper order, so yes is on top and no's on the bottom.
Yeah, so they're just keep throwing it at you to make sure that you're paying attention.
Oh, Hyrule Field. Now, back in the day, this was extremely impressive, and I suppose to a degree it still is. I mean, it looks really nice, especially with the improved lighting effects on the 3DS version. There's not that much going on in it. I mean, besides like Lon Ranch, there's not that many landmarks in the field itself, but it's fun to explore, I guess.
Tom, you mentioned to me that you felt that time was sped up in the 3D version, correct?
Yes.
Well, before we did this commentary, I decided to run a little experiment for myself to test this. So, in the original Ocarina of Time, a day is 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and night is 1 minute and 20 seconds. So, I took my version of the 3D I took the 3D version, and I timed a few days, and I timed a few nights. And here's my findings. A day in 3D is 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and night is 1 minute and 20 seconds. They're the exact same length of time. They didn't change it.
That seems weird, because to me it just seems sped up. I don't know.
There's a reason for that. I think I figured out what's going on. So, the original Ocarina of Time was made during a weird period when PAL in EU version, they messed with frame rates. They toned it down to 5/6 the frame rate that NTSC is. They wanted it because by lowering the frame rate, they could increase quality.
Yeah.
So, PAL versions run slower than NTSC. Original Ocarina of Time runs at 20 frames per minute, or 20 frames per second. PAL runs at 16 frames per second.
Jesus.
3D runs at 30 frames per second. It's literally twice as fast as PAL version, so I think that is why you think that time is sped up.
Yeah, we just live in backwards land here in Europe, basically.
Slow backwards land.
So what's the deal with these skeletons, then?
The Stalchildren, either there was a mass extinction of children or a Girl Scout troop walked into an undisclosed landmine field.
You came to the wrong neighborhood, motherfucker.
The cool thing about them is that you can only do this with an emulator, but when you kill enough Stalchildren, a bigger Stalchild appears. And if you kill more Stalchildren, an even bigger one appears. So, if you take an emulator and you put on hacks to make it infinite night and stuff, you can actually keep killing Stalchildren and keep spawning a bigger and bigger Stalchild. Eventually, you can get a skeleton as big as the general in Majora's Mask. You can get one of those guys to appear in Hyrule Field.
Wasn't that like a rumor or something?
It was a rumor, but you could test it with emulator, because with the actual game, you can't really make it stay night for a long time, but with emulator, it's proven, and I've done it before, you can get this giant Stalchild to just wreck Hyrule Field.
And a little tip, if you want to avoid them entirely, that you can with a certain song you'll be getting for the Ocarina in a bit, but before you get that song, if you, just stay on the path, they won't appear at all, and then you can just let it turn to day, and boom, you can go into the town again.
You could avoid them from spawning, or you could get to the castle before it even turns night.
I'm not that pro, come on.
It's actually not that difficult. Your best way to do it without knowing the specific movement speed is to just keep having a constant roll.
Well, in this regard, I kind of had to go a bit slower, so you had some justification to bring up all that facts and whatnot.
No, it's okay. And the cool thing is that most people know that rolling is faster, especially when you go uphill. But the one thing a lot of people don't know is that in original Ocarina of Time and in this remake, the fastest way to move is to walk backwards.
Oh yeah.
It's equal to rolling, but the reason walking backwards is faster is because rolling has an acceleration and then you slow down when the roll stops. So you go fast, stop. Go fast, stop. With backwalking, it's a constant acceleration into a certain location. The only thing is you kind of need to know where you're going.
Yeah.
And in 3D, they kind of gimped it, because backwalking, in order to walk directly backwards, you have to have the control stick at a specific location. If you're even slightly to the right or slightly to the left, Link does this like side backwards shuffle, and it's slow and irritating.
Now, that's plenty of facts, but what about opinions? How do you feel about the Hyrule Castle Town in general? Because I like it. I think to this day it's still a very good like hub world, if you want to call it a world. But I much prefer Clock Town.
Castletown's pretty good when you first show up. The thing is, there's nothing to do here. There's a lot of heart piece gathering, I get that, but literally, you can just walk through it, and you only have to visit it once. The best thing about it is that it has the Temple of Time. Frankly, I like Twilight Princess's Castletown better just because that had multiple districts, multiple streets, and it actually seemed crowded.
You know, I was actually thinking about this earlier, and at first I would have agreed, but then I thought a bit more, and the thing with Twilight Princess is it gives the illusion of being all big and alive, but really it's just big and empty, so all those people milling around aren't really contributing to making the town actually alive. It seems alive, but it's not really.
And that's also why I kind of figure is that it just feels more crowded, but with this, I mean, you have the Bomb Chew shop, you have a bunch of games you can play them in day and at night. So, yeah, I sort of went back on my old opinion that there's nothing to do in Ocarina of Time Castletown when there's quite a lot to do. I just never really bothered to do it myself. So you got the upgrade for the slingshot. I never did the archery challenges when I was little, just because I have terrible aim even in video games. But I'm really impressed that you were actually able to win the challenge using the gyroscope.
Yeah, especially with all the wires and whatnot plugged into the back of my 3DS. And if you were watching the live stream where I was recording this footage, you'll know that I did not do that on my first try.
I'm still impressed that you're able to do it with motion control. Like, I cannot get the precision either with a Wiimote or with a gyroscopic 3DS. I always prefer to use inputs just because I can get specific increments of inputs.
Yeah, this circle pad just doesn't do anything for me, really. Okay, I'm not entirely sure why the game does this, but in order to get Malon to appear, you actually have to talk to her in the square, then come into this place, then go back out to the square, and then come back here. Not really well explained, but whatever works, I guess.
I guess you're supposed to find the dead end, go back to town, and realize, one of these things is not like the other.
Now, you can sneak past the guard here, or you can bribe him to open the gate, which says a lot of things about the security team for Hyrule Castle.
The Hyrule guards are absolutely worthless, and I have a fan theory, which means it's canon.
Okay, yeah.
Is that, remember how Hyrule has recently been plagued by a war of some kind in some way? Well, I guess that all of the competent and well-adjusted guards, they were either killed off or they're on disability. So, the only guards that are really left to defend the castle are the rejects and the ones whose injuries from the war weren't big enough to allow them to stand as guards.
Either that or Zelda just don't pay very well.
I don't know what it is, because these guys have no vision range, and apparently not a single one of them have functioning ears, because you can roll past them, you can backwalk, you can jump, you can do gymnastics, and make all the noise in the world, but they won't notice you.
Yeah, I think this was one of my first introductions to stealth in video games, and at the time I was like panicky as fuck just trying to get past these guys without being seen, but in the end it turns out it doesn't really matter, because like you said, they're blind and deaf.
This is a cool thing. When this little cupboard that you're trying to get to by moving all these boxes, the funny thing about it is that it's actually connected to Ganon's tower.
Oh god, again with Ganon's tower.
Ganon's tower is a horrible place and it deserves to be broken. But no, if you do that whole Ganon door glitch that I explained in the previous part, and yes, the trick is called Ganon door. It's lovely name.
Okay.
If you do Ganon door, you don't have to actually walk towards Ganon, you can actually walk out of his tower. And the thing is, when you're Child Link and you exit the tower, this area the field outside Hyrule Castle and the desolate area that has the giant molten lava moat as you're an adult, they're the same area. The game gives them the exact same value.
Okay.
The only difference is that if you're an adult or child, the game then determines which version to load. If you exit the tower as child after doing Ganondorf, you walk out of the tower and you all of a sudden teleport and start crawling out of the little hole.
That's freaky.
So the game is essentially like, oh, your child Link exiting the tower? Well, then you must be exiting the castle. You also have to wait for this egg to hatch. If you do Castle Before Night, it's very convenient because you get the egg as soon as night starts, so you really only have to wait for morning to come, and you spend all that time evading the guards.
As much as I feel sorry for the hard-working Ingo, who we'll meet later on in the game, you gotta kind of feel sorry for Talon himself. I mean, he's bossed around by his daughter at his own ranch. You know, he can't even run the place without some girl telling him what to do. And secondly, yeah, he may be a tad on the lazy side, but at the same time, no one from the castle was there to greet him and pick up the milk. The guy looks like Super Mario, for God's sake. You'd think that would garner a bit of respect for him.
Also, Mario's apparently just as lazy as Link, because in case you guys haven't noticed, every other Zelda game starts with Link waking up from his sleep, and they wanted to give Mario the same treatment.
Wasn't there a similar character in Link's Awakening?
There was, and this guy is actually a tribute to that character. Him and his daughter were the ones that find Link after his ship crashes, and so they just recolored him.
That's Marin and Tarin, I think?
Marin and Tarin, and therefore, because Japanese and English are so lovely, the characters in this game are Malin and Talon.
Cool fact about Talon, actually. If you go to Lon Lon Ranch, you can actually see, like, if you zoom in on his character model, he's wearing a pendant, and it's got a Bowser head on it.
Oh yeah, his bolo tie is Bowser's head. So once again, the incompetency of the Hyrule military at work here.
What's that money doing there?
It's supposed to bribe you. It's supposed to trick your 10-year-old mind into thinking, oh my god, money, I should go in the face of danger. Instead of realizing that the world is filled with money. Monsters have money bleeding out of them. You don't need to risk getting caught by a guard.
Alternatively, that guy just dropped his lunch money, and because he's blind and deaf, he can't find it.
Oh, the poor guy. Great, now I feel bad for making fun of the disabled.
Now I'm blind, deaf, and hungry.
Empo! These statues used to be kind of cool for me when I was little, just because you can't really tell what they are, and I thought they were important. They're not. They're just architecture.
Yeah, it's like that statue in the courtyard in Mario 64.
Oh man, this is so tricky. Two guards that aren't really timed together in their steps.
Yeah, now this is confusing for a 10-year-old's mind. In your own time, Mr. Guard, thank you.
He has to make damn sure that you're not waiting in that wall. He's checking every brick very carefully.
Yeah, essentially you're safe now, so don't worry. No guard's gonna randomly come in and go, oh my god, you were trying to get in a cutscene with our princess? This shall not be!
Later games got a little smart, and sometimes they'll actually throw in a random last-minute check guard for the stealth sections, because this isn't the last time you see stealth.
Yeah.
So here's something that was changed from the original version. It was a really cool Easter egg that if you looked in this window, you saw portraits of Mario, Luigi, Bowser, and Peach. But in this version, they decided that that Easter egg was just too cool, and instead decided to give you a diorama of a Mario level.
Can you guess what game it's from, MBM?
3D Land?
New Super Mario Bros. Wii. And just to avoid turning this into a debate as to whether New Super Mario Bros. Is a good series or a bad series, I will just simply say I don't care for it, but I did enjoy the original DS game.
So we finally decided to rip off the entire military, and we've snuck in to find a princess. Not the first time we've done this either. I mean, I guess you could kind of call this a callback to A Link to the Past, where Zelda calls you in your dreams and it's like, come save me. Only in that scenario, you could actually attack the guards. It wasn't smart, but you could.
Are you implying that Ocarina of Time is a 3D remake of Link to the Past? I have never heard of this theory before.
Fan theory, it's canon. But yeah, so Zelda has this weird thing where she has dreams, and instead of writing them in her journal or posting them on her Tumblr, she instead tells them to random strangers who appear with fairies and green rocks.
Tumblr, is that going to be covered in Hyrule Historia?
It better be. Zelda's Tumblr includes pictures of cats.
Tumblr princess. Now you see, this is where you'd put in a rude name and she'd say it and I'd titter like a little schoolboy, but no, I decided to go all plain and just have Link for this playthrough.
Oh, asshat, you are the hero of Hyrule.
It's even better, I think it's Spirit Tracks, where the game makes you sign your name at the beginning and then it'll bring it up at the end of the credits.
Nice. So Tom, do you know how Hyrule was made?
No, I do not know how Hyrule is made. Can you please tell me, game?
Again and again. So, because I was busy blabbering on about how to completely break the game last time we saw this cutscene, we'll probably explain a little bit this time. So, long ago in a galaxy far, far away, 3 Academy Awards were burning and decided to make the entire universe.
They left behind 3 cheese triangles made of solid gold and cheese.
Or, if you're going off of what Miyamoto originally wanted the Triforce to be, 3 microchips.
Yeah.
Don't ask me, the guy's batshit insane.
You know, the Triforce is a real symbol, and I was really surprised. I was like looking at some random pictures of Japan. Don't ask me why, because I don't remember. And I was like, there's a Triforce on that temple. Is Link inside there? Link must be inside there.
Well, I guess that's less awkward than finding out that the swastika is actually an Asian symbol for posterity.
Oh yeah, the Buddhist one. It's just like slightly inverted, isn't it?
All it is mirror flipped.
So the Nazi version of the symbol is essentially Ocarina 3D Master Quest for Buddhism.
Indeed. Also, Zelda here is about to give us a super racist moment, okay? Just because this man has darker skin than the rest of the people in this kingdom doesn't mean it's okay to call him a dark cloud. That is rude.
Nose, bloody nose, you bloody nosy bastard. Seriously, it's fucking huge.
It's less obnoxious as it was in the original.
I think it's actually worse because it's rendered more nicely here.
It's that he has no brow. His forehead transitions perfectly into the bridge of his nose.
His forehead and nose have become one.
The jewel doesn't help either. So here's Zelda's great and awesome plan. So she's gonna sit in the castle, look pretty, sip tea, eat crumpets, and you, yes you, get to go out, get all the stones, find out about the evil, bring all the stones back, and she's gonna take all the glory from you.
I guess that's why she's the princess and I am the pauper.
That is why she's the princess, because she doesn't do a damn thing.
Well, not yet anyway.
Yeah, and her whole issue is that I would tell my father, but he doesn't believe me. That is a very poor excuse to keep a secret that will end the world to yourself.
Especially when, you know, not to give anything away, but they do this exact same thing in another timeline, and it works.
But hey, at least in this timeline, we get her autograph.
Hell yeah, motherfucker, gonna sell this on Hyrule eBay.
So I actually didn't know that this Easter egg. Despite my vast knowledge of everything in the world, I didn't know about the bomb. Or the money.
One window grants you bombs, another, money.
Well, they are filthy stinking rich. They can afford incompetent guards.
Oh, this rupee is slightly dusty. Out the window with you. But sire, we're starving. Fuck you.
So here's Impa. And this is actually when the game introduces a new species. They did that with the Kokiris, but now you have the Sheikah, who are the Dark Ones, apparently. They're magical people who do magical things for magical reasons, all to protect the princess.
They're basically Hyrule gypsies. That's how I always saw it.
Yeah, that's a really good way to think of it, too.
I'm not really a fan of how they redesigned the control scheme for the Ocarina. I was always missing the notes and, inputting the wrong thing.
The other thing, too, is because with the old control, the letters actually kind of corresponded to height on the music chart. And it's so much easier to press the yellow buttons than actually the bumpers and some of the buttons.
Yeah, I suppose it's just muscle memory playing up, really.
Definitely. And here's a nitpick I'm gonna make to the world. Everyone, when they talk about their favorite Ocarina of Time music, some are smart and say Gyro Valley. Others are stupid and say that their favorite song from Ocarina of Time is Zelda's Lullaby. It's not. Zelda's Lullaby is from A Link to the Past. Every time you got one of the maidens in the crystal, it played Zelda's Lullaby. I don't get how people forget that and attribute that song to this game.
Okay, MBM, we get it. You're hardcore.
Damn straight. Better recognize. Oh, you know how we also call the Sheikah Hyrule's gypsies? They're also their ninjas.
Yeah, that's about that, really.
Well, now we're getting our actual quest. Before we were just following the orders of a tree, and he died. So we couldn't really make an entire quest out of that. So now we've become the princess's, I don't know, bitch.
Just what I was going to say. Well, that's about all the time we have for part 3 of the Ocarina of Time 3D playthrough. Join us next time where we go on side quests. See you then.